Ladies and gentlemen, welcome today to another edition of a NASCAR 06 Total Team Control live stream. And today we have some Busch Series races for you guys today. Another doubleheader, back-to-back nights of a Busch Series doubleheader. Today we've got a couple short tracks. First, at the 3/4 mile short track at Richmond. And then after that, we go to a track that is no longer even existent, really. I mean, it's existent, but it's abandoned. Nazareth Speedway will be the second race of this stream. Both races will be 50% race length, the third and fourth and final of the two 50% races that we have left yet this season. And I think that's the last of the 50% races for the Busch Cup and Truck Series. So buckle up. This is going to be a quick one for both races. It's going to be a couple really sprint races, especially with them being 50% races on short track. So sense of urgency from the get-go here today. The Emerson Radio 125 at Richmond is about to kick off. Blub, SIZ, Mark DeMars, and others, welcome into the stream. Kyle Busch will be starting at the rear of the field in both races today, just like yesterday. Casey Kane on the pole for race one of the doubleheader. Green flag is in the air. We're underway at Richmond. This is my best track, by the way, in this game. So I have no doubt in my mind that we can get up here. I should probably... there was no practice or qualifying. I should probably take it a little easy here these first couple laps. Even though it's only 125 laps, it's going to easily be just a one-stop race today. Martin Truex Jr. was the leader of lap 1, even though Casey Kane started on the pole. I saw he took the lead off the exit of turn 4 and was in the lead by the time they got to the start-finish line up towards the front of the field. So don't run the apron here. Car got a little loose. Busch going to be 3 wide down to the bottom into turn 1. His car really slipped out from underneath him getting into the corner. Was not expecting that. Kyle's got a little bit of a loose race car right now, which is not good considering it's just a short race. And you're not going to have many opportunities to try to make an adjustment. A 3.7 average finish for Kyle Busch through 13 races this season. He has only finished outside the top 10 once in those 13 races and only outside the top 5 3 times. He has 4 wins on the season, including the first race of our doubleheader yesterday. Second race was won by Erin Crocker. It was her first career win. We have 8 different winners in the Busch Series season, which is quite a few considering we have only had 13 races. One car into the inside wall, back behind Kyle Busch. 106 making a little bit of contact. Busch hesitated, trying to go 3 wide underneath the 138. Jamie McMurray crowding Kyle Busch a little bit. It looked like he tried to go up the middle 3 wide between both Busch and then that 131 car. Couldn't quite get there. It's definitely jam-packed in the middle right now, and it looks like Truex is slowly pulling away at the front of the field. Dale Jr., Matt Kenseth, a couple other Cup regulars running mid-pack. Busch clear off the exit of turn 2 for 26th. He's got Michael Jourdain right underneath him. Wade Selinsky also welcome into the stream. Contact with Kenseth. And more contact with the 152. I think Kenseth might have actually brushed the wall off the exit of the corner because Jourdain got back by him as well. It's definitely got speed, I'll tell you that much, which I kind of figured. Nazareth's definitely going to be tough without practicing qualifying. I haven't even ran at that track in a long time. We would have ran there both the Busch and the Truck Series season in our first season. That was the last time I raced there. And man, it's probably been at least 5-6 months. I'm not joking you. It might be that long, if not longer, since we raced at Nazareth on the channel. So, hopefully, I can get some sort of a setup from the get-go. Good chance Kyle Busch's car could handle a lot better in clean air as well. Just ran his fastest lap that time. Underdale Jr. into turns 1 and 2. Pass is going to be made for 17th. Miller blocking Busch as he gets by the 82. Kyle Busch trying to do the same. I'm kind of scared that it's this loose from the start. I don't have any idea exactly how this car is going to handle once we get about halfway through the run and beyond. We'll take our first field pass of the day as we'll swap to Brian Vickers, who's our lone teammate in the Busch Series. We'll do that at the start-finish line this time by. Meal blocking just a little bit. Casey Kane going to get passed by Brian Vickers. Vickers up to 4th. Bobby Labonte just in front of Vickers now. One of the Old Spice cars, either Tony Stewart or the 133 just up ahead, and it looks like the 133 car. Vickers looking for 2nd off of turn 2, and he's got to run. And never mind, it is Tony Stewart in the 33. Thought I saw 3 numbers, but I guess not. 5th and 9th is basically one race worth of points. Yeah, I think the points are a lot more spaced apart in the Busch Series too, because you have a lot of Cup regulars running races, but they're not running every race, so they're taking up some points from some of the Busch Series regulars. So a Busch Series regular goes on to win, like we've seen recently with Kyle Busch and Clint Boyer, they're going to pull ahead a lot more than if they have a bunch of Cup guys finishing just behind them. Kind of like today's race. Nazareth, you're not going to see that many. But at the actual Cup Series tracks, you're definitely going to see quite a bit. Oh, Kyle Busch got turned by Miller off the exit of turn 4. Did a good job keeping it off the wall. That was off of our screen. Hopefully Kyle did not crash. Just gotta get that second field pass out of the way right here, right now. I'm not wasting any time with it. I want to be able to have enough time to try to drive Kyle through the pack. We'll see if we can get Brian Vickers to the lead. Closed in on Truex, then Truex pulled away a little bit. And 2 laps, try to catch the 8. Just over 100 to go. 2 laps before we swap back to Busch. Not like there's only 2 to go in the race. We'll see if we can get Brian Vickers 5 bonus points. Trying to get a 1-2 finish. Vickers will be running every race, I would have to imagine, because he has up to this point. I think it's because I'm his teammate. And we're running the full season, obviously, with Kyle Busch. Vickers just ran his fastest lap of the day as he gets to the inside of Truex for the lead. Really low dive, slides up and clear off turn 2. Brian Vickers out in front. They'll receive 5 bonus points this time by for leading his first lap of the race. And now we can go back to Kyle Busch in the 5 for the rest of this first race. Kyle Busch about 5 seconds behind his teammate who is now leading. Vickers' car definitely handles a lot better than Kyle Busch's. Kyle's just a little too loose. Derek Booth, welcome into the stream. Busch did finish 1st and 2nd in both races yesterday. The caution came out ending the race with just 2 laps left, or 3 laps left, I believe, at the time. And he was battling Eric Crocker for the win. He was side by side with Crocker when the yellow flag came out. And by less than half a car length, Eric Crocker ended up being scored as the leader as the caution flew. Therefore, she was declared the winner. And Kyle Busch ended up second after winning the first race yesterday at Chicagoland. And the second race took place at Las Vegas. 2.5-mile racetracks yesterday. So we'll have quite a few more 1.5 miles left this season. And we have a trip to Homestead coming up somewhat soon. Charlotte's coming up on the schedule somewhat soon as well. We're just going to have one trivia question on the channel today also. Just an FYI. Just like we did yesterday, despite the fact we have 2 races. Crocker trying to get around Gigi Yaley. Yaley to the inside of John Hamilton, in fact. Crocker down low to block Busch, and now she gets underneath Yaley. That was a great corner for Aaron Crocker. She got it to stick. Makes a pass for position. Yaley to the inside of Crocker with the crossover. Busch to the inside of both drivers. 3 wide on the front stretch heading towards turn 1. And Busch is going to hang on to his race car. He's all clear. And up to 9th. First time he has cracked the top 10 today. And quickly to the inside of John Hamilton for 8th place in turns 3 and 4. 3 cars pass that lap for Kyle Busch. Alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in race 1. Jacob NASCAR, thanks for tuning in. I don't think it really rained at my house. It was just huge winds all day today, really, too. Super windy, though. We had gusts about 40 miles an hour pretty much all day. Other than that, I have no clue of how the storms were everywhere else. Talking snowstorm, rainstorm. Kyle Busch with a run underneath Clint Boyer. Boyer had a DNF and actually dropped him well behind Kyle Busch. He was already about a race worth of points back. Now he's 2 races back after blowing an engine at Vegas in the second race of the doubleheader. This was after finishing second in the first race at Chicago. And Kyle Busch is just slowly working his way through this field after starting last. No practice or qualifying. He clears Bobby Labonte for 4th off of turn 2. You have nothing but Cup Series regulars inside the top 5. Vickers, Truex, Stewart, Busch, and Labonte. Tornadoes in Mississippi. Oh, yeah, that wasn't the same thing that I had. I don't believe, at least. Ever since Vickers took the lead, he has pulled away from Martin Truex Jr. Kyle Busch to the inside of the 8 on the front stretch, heading towards turn 1, side by side for 2nd. Truex on the outside, not going to be able to have the grip to stay alongside Busch. Plus taking the longest way around, and Kyle Busch is all clear. There's still plenty of laps left. He's going to have a good shot to try to lead the most. Just ran his fastest lap, 21.398 that last lap. And he is all over his teammate Brian Vickers down the backstretch heading towards turn 3. Vickers with a little bit of a block, trying to hang on for an extra lap. Busch gets the drive off, trying to get to the inside of the 57. Side by side are the teammates into turn 1 for the lead. And Kyle Busch is easily clear off of turn 2 and leads at Richmond, now looking to pull away. Vickers overdrives turn 3, trying to get back underneath of Kyle Busch. Got very close to the wall off the exit of the corner. I'm not sure if he actually got into it or not. Just like that, Kyle Busch out in front for the first time today. Billy Kramer also welcome into the stream. Clean air definitely going to feel nice in the handling side of things for Kyle Busch. Although he probably isn't going to enjoy it too long. I would have to imagine he's going to end up catching lap traffic at some point soon here. Again, it should be a one-stop race today. Curious as to exactly how far these guys could go on fuel. Nobody has tried to pit yet. Halfway out of fuel right now at lap 43. So Kyle Busch is looking to go about 86 laps on a full tank. He's got a fast car. He's definitely going to make it a 4-tire stop. He's going to try to go as long as he possibly can, first and foremost. Don't want to risk short pitting on a short track, having a caution come out in the middle of green flag stops and then getting trapped a lap down when you have a great shot to win. Quite a few cars on pit road right now. Window must be open to make it on fuel to the end of the race. 70 laps to go. Make that 80 to go. I believe the second race at Nazareth is 100 laps. I could be wrong on that, but I believe it's 100. Saw Dale Jr. come out of the pits. He was one of the drivers to short pit. Our first race yesterday in our 50% length race doubleheader, we did not have a caution. Race 2, we had 4 cautions. And all 4 of them were in the final 25 laps. Got a car blowing up on the front stretch heading towards turn 1. Fantasy driver in the number 56. He's going to try to make it all the way back around. Busch may catch him again before he makes his way onto pit road. He's on the back straightaway right now. Lap 50. With Truex leading quite a bit at the start of the race, and then Vickers taking the lead before Kyle Busch eventually ended up getting to the front, that's a lot less laps Kyle Busch is going to have to lead to try to clinch the most laps led. Lap car does make it into the pit, so we stay caution free. Yeah, I don't know a lot of the names. I know it flashes on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. I actually can't see that part of my TV because my laptop screen is kind of covering it when I'm streaming. So that's why, if I don't already know the name of the fantasy drivers, and off top of my head, if I don't know it, then Unless you guys, you know, say something about it in the chat. I'm just calling them by their number. Looks for the really low dive. Trying to get into 3. A little too low. It's got a bit loose. Dialysis, thanks for tuning in. Car's definitely freed up even more as the run continues on. Honestly, knowing I don't have to go too far to the end of the race from when I pit, assuming I run this all the way out, I don't even think I'm going to make any adjustments. If I was in a full race, I definitely would, but knowing I won't have to go another full run, and we'll see just to make sure, because if I start to get extremely loose, I will pit, so I don't risk wrecking. I can't use the apron here. There isn't grip. I don't think anybody uses the apron at Richmond. The only reason I did it at Las Vegas is because that was an actual racing line. I know you didn't like to believe it, but it's not Formula 1, it's NASCAR. And it's not even that it's not... I shouldn't even say that. It's, road courses, even in NASCAR, they have track limits. They can go a lot wider off the exit of a corner than, you know, open wheel racing, but it's a little different just because the cars are heavier. And there's less downforce, so they kind of need that extra room to go wide. If they had... Oh my gosh, better focus here. But if they had just as tight of corners, I guess, by having to keep all 4 tires above the curb instead of just 2 in NASCAR, the lap times would be so slow. Like, they're already slower than open wheel racing as it is. Like, how much slower you want them to go? Be backing it up like at Watkins Glen in the bus stop, trying to go like 30 miles an hour trying to make the corner. Maybe not that slow, because they probably go about 90 going through there, but they'd be backing it up to probably 50, 60 miles an hour trying to keep it off the curb. John Hamilton, J.J. Yaley have really fallen back pretty far in the field. They were in the top 10. Either that or Kyle Busch has already lapped that many cars. I don't think that's the case. He's only been in lap traffic for maybe 20 laps or so, if not less. Oh, you know what? I think those 2 might have pitted already. I think that's why we already passed them. Because there were quite a few drivers that did pit as soon as the window opened to make it on field at the end of the race, which was right around 80 to go. I mean, I don't watch F1. I respect auto racing in general. Like, I wouldn't say I dislike it. I just don't find it entertaining enough for me to, like, really watch it on a weekly basis. Like, I'll tune in every now and then, but I just don't. I don't care for it too much. Like, honestly, like, I like open wheel racing. I prefer watching IndyCar over Formula 1. I just think IndyCar's got a better product. It doesn't seem like in IndyCar the cars are as aero dependent as they are in NASCAR and Formula 1. I mean, you're always going to have, like, dirty air is a problem regardless, but it just seems like they're easier. For whatever reason, they're able to make passes easier. And some of that could be, though, too, the driving. I mean, in Formula 1, you're talking about, like, the greatest, really, you know, racers in the world. And to a certain extent, you know, that bleeds over into other major motorsport series in America, like NASCAR and IndyCar, but it's not to the extent that Formula 1 is. You know, those are, like, the best of the best in, you know, open-wheel racing, really. So, they're not going to make as many major mistakes. And I think that's another reason why you don't see as many, you know, battles for a long period of time in Formula 1 as well during the course of a race. Unless they're on, like, different tire strategies or something. I feel like that's, like, really the only time you ever see passing. Why it kind of gets strung out. Nobody's able to really catch anybody. I do think that that's a lot of it, though. That not too many people really factor in. Like, I just try to rationalize everything. And in my opinion, because they're as good as they are, they just don't make as many mistakes. So they're not able to capitalize on it. Between that and the fact that the rule book's so tight with F1, that, like, if they try to, like, do something to make a pass, as far as, like, you know, track limits go, it's like, you know, they'll get penalized for it. So there's also a huge risk and reward when that, you know, comes into play, especially if you're somebody competing for the championship. Patrick, say it again. I thought somebody else put that in there, and then I realized it was actually you that posted that. Thanks for tuning in, though, P-Chat. Matthew, thanks for tuning in also. A little less than an eighth of a tank of fuel left for Kyle Busch this point in the run. He's got a 4.5 second lead nearly, so he continues to pull away. I figure this is going to be a pretty easy race, even though I started at the back. Richmond's my best track on this game, so I wasn't really expecting too much of a fight. You just never know, though. I mean, we've had instances where we've had cautions in weird spots. I mean, look at Phoenix. Phoenix, I was dominating. I led over 280 laps at 3:12 in the Cup race, but we had a caution right at the edge of the pit window and almost ran out of gas at the end of the race. I did, actually. I ran out of gas as I was crossing the checkered flag. And that was after trying to save fuel pretty much off and on the final 20 laps of the race. I definitely would have been a couple laps short if I didn't save it all. I was just hoping I saved enough because I couldn't back it up too much more with the leaders right behind me. 75 laps complete, 50 to go in our first race tonight at Richmond. Nazareth's going to be an interesting race to say the least. I don't really know if I have expectations for Nazareth for myself because I have no clue how we're going to be able to run as well as I possibly can, considering we're not going to have practice or qualifying. We're jumping right into the race. We'll be starting at the rear. It's half the distance, and so it's only 100 laps. It's going to be a challenge. I would not doubt if that's going to be my worst finish of the season up to this point, which is 14th so far, so I feel like that's definitely a race that I could struggle. It's so hard to pass, too. Track's so narrow, one groove. Busch gonna have to lift. He held Labonte up a little bit in doing so. Labonte overdrives turn 3 anyway. Kyle Busch will pit at lap 80. Busch was lifting so he could let the lap car in line. Caution is out. And that is exactly why Kyle Busch did not want a short pit. Caution is out, and that's going to trap quite a few cars a lap down as one car just missed the pits. Hit the tire barrier at the front of pit road. Oh my gosh, there was like 2 more cars that piled in behind him. They're like, oh shoot. Pit road's closed. Evade, and then they just end up... One car hits the one that spun already. All fantasy drivers involved. Oh, jeez. 4 tires and fuel. No adjustments for Kyle Busch here. A little less than 50 laps to go as our first caution is out. May see some debris yellows off of that. NASCAR Monster Jam race at Bristol. I do race online from time to time. We haven't done it since the NASCAR 22 update. Are we even able to race the next gen cars online with the update? I have no clue. We definitely got to do some more online lobbies, especially during the off season. I mean, if this was real, somebody could have been hurt. I was just laughing at the fact that they were trying to miss the pits and they had multiple cars hit the barrier. I think the first car just missed it because they overcooked it. Green flag going to be back in the air. There were a couple cars on pit road that were not a lap down yet. Those are the drivers that are going to be ahead of Kyle Busch on the restart. This will line up at 6 as Brian Vickers is back in the lead once again. Oh boy. Thought Busch overdrove the corner for a second. He took a deep dive to get underneath Boyer and Stewart 3 wide on the inside. Up to third now. Mark Martin actually just took the lead on the restart as Vickers got held up by the lap cars who were on his inside. Casey Kane a lap down. Labonte was in the top 5. He's a lap down. Crocker was having another great run in 10th. In the top 10. She ended up falling a lap down also. Martin and Vickers have cleared the lap traffic. Kyle Busch trying to do the same. Oh man, looked like there was trouble in turns 1 and 2, but no actual caution came out for it. And Casey Kane got a bump from behind, which actually knocked the 57 car, and a chain reaction of events there. And Vickers is on the top now, and Busch is going to have the easy pass for second. And quickly to the inside of Casey Kane. Mark Martin with 40 to go. In danger of losing the lead here any moment to Kyle Busch, who's clearly had the fastest car today. Oh, Kane pounds the wall off turn 2. Vickers gets back by him. Not for position, though. Again, Kane first car lap down, trying to get the free pass. Busch overdrives the corner just a little bit down to the bottom, trying to get a run at Martin. It's the first time we've seen Mark Martin up this far up in the running order, though. I mean, I'm not intentionally hitting the apron here. Might overdrive it just a little bit. I'm actually lucky I didn't get loose. There's some tracks on this game, you touch it just a tad, it spins you right out. Obviously, the faster intermediates is where that's going to take place. Other than Vegas, it only works at Vegas because the track's so flat. I don't know how I did that. I don't even think I've hit the wall up until then this entire race. I just got back in the gas a little too soon or something. Gotta be really patient. Trying to get back to the gas here. Pretty tight exits to the corners, especially off turn 2. I don't even know that Kyle Busch is necessarily going to catch lap traffic before the end of the race as well. Good chance he won't. A little over 30 to go. This 3/4 mile short track. Still waiting to see if we get any more debris cautions. It's one thing that other drivers are still going to have a chance to get by Kyle Busch. It's going to be on restarts, especially if we have restarts with more than 10 to go. We just saw Brian Vickers lose the lead to Mark Martin on that restart because of the lap cars lined up on the inside. Martin got past them a little bit quicker than Vickers did. Vickers was stuck on the outside a little too long. Kyle Busch actually got to the bottom fairly quickly after starting in 6th. 30 to go. Busch looking for his 5th win in the number 5. What a streak, though, to do that in 14 races. And just to keep the consistency going that we've had this season, it's ridiculous how much... This has to be the most consistent I've been at the start of any season ever on the channel. I can't remember any game we've played, any season in any series, where I have had this much consistency at the start of a year. And to go this far in, like, I might have had good consistency through like 7, 8, 9 races, but I mean, this is we're coming up on 15 races at the end of the night. And if I end up getting a good finish at Nazareth too, I mean, that's just insane. Again, average finish is a 3.7 coming into this race today through 13 races. I don't care if that's the start of the season, whatever point of the season that is, that's got to be my best in that sample size of races probably ever in the channel's history. We're clicking on setups. The races are shorter, so the amount of time for me to make a mistake is a lot less, which is definitely helping. It's probably why I made more mistakes in the Cup Series. The races I am qualifying, I'm qualifying good. And I mean, even these last couple nights, between last night and today, starting at the rear, we're still getting up towards the front. Thanks for tuning in again, Earl. Vickers has caught back up to Mark Martin, trying to get around him for second. He's led the second most amount of laps today behind Kyle Busch, who has already clinched the most laps led as of a few laps ago. So it'll be 10 bonus points for Busch. Season finales at Talladega in both the Busch and Cup Series custom schedule seasons. But if Kyle Busch can clinch the championship early, won't even have to worry about Talladega. That'd be huge. Second and a half lead. Yeah, top 5 still count for top 10s. Because, I mean, they count for, obviously, both categories. It's no different than if you won a race, say in, like, you know, Formula 1, it's still a podium finish, too. So when they count your year-end statistics, you're not going to have more wins than podiums. Like, that's not possible because you're still on the podium. Same thing goes with, like, wins and top 5s. Still counts as a top 5 because you're finishing top 5 even though it's a win. as far as statistical purposes go. 19 to go. I feel like they did get a little bit quicker. Kyle Busch was pulling away a lot easier last run. He had about a 4.5 second lead when the caution came out. Almost a 2-second lead right now. I think a lot of it is he got through lap traffic pretty well also. There hasn't been any lap traffic for anybody, so they're able to run some consistent lap times. As well as Kyle Busch. I should say they're more consistently consistent when there's no extra traffic around them, at least of the cars at the front of the field, but they still don't have the speed that the 5 has, though, at the same time. $15 to go at the line this time by. Kyle Busch just hoping it stays green to the end. He'll easily have this W in the bag. And just like last night, he'll try to go for the sweep. He was unsuccessful in trying to do that in our doubleheader last night. We'll see if he can do it today. Get redemption at it. We get one more try. At least on the 50% races. I do have a couple more doubleheaders lined up for 100% races yet before the end of the season. 2.6 second lead for Busch. In fact, I think on Sunday we'll be doing a Busch Series doubleheader with 2 100% races. .380 that last lap for Busch. A little bit there. I did not stick very well in that corner. I think Busch will catch lap traffic before the end. He's definitely been able to see him the last few laps. 11 to go. $10 to go. Court Free, thanks for tuning in. Dialysis has a hate boner against the apron. Six laps to go this time by. 3-second lead for Kyle Busch. Teammate Brian Vickers, as far as we know, was still back there in third. I noticed there was another car closing in when we were still seeing the top couple within sight of the rearview mirror. Martin has definitely pulled away now, even though Vickers was pressuring in there a little bit. 5 to go. Halfway out of fuel. Doesn't feel like we've gone almost 40 laps on these tires already. I guess that's the case. We're late enough in the race that caution came out now. The race would end under yellow just like last night's did. So Kyle Busch is going to be on his way to victory here in a couple laps. Fairly clean race. Had slight contact with a couple cars, but nothing major. It's typical short track racing, really. And he's going to be on his way again to that 5th victory. 2 to go. Not even going to risk trying to pass a lap car. There's no point. He's got over a 3-second lead over 2nd place. Oh, a couple lap cars got together off of turn 4. Busch had no intentions of passing him, but he wanted to keep from getting wrecked there. White flag in the air, 1 to go. About wrecked each other trying to battle for last. Checkered flag in the air. Kyle Busch is going to get the win at Richmond in this first 50% race of the night. Smoke show on the front stretch for Rowdy. Rowdy before he was actually nicknamed Rowdy. I don't think he had a nickname. His brother had a nickname. Jimmy Spencer called him Punk all the time. Punk Jr. PJ. Alrighty. 79 laps left for Kyle Busch. Got 10 bonus points with that. 79 laps led for Busch today. I don't think that's... Checking to see where that puts me on the season. Alright, so with 80 laps led today, it's going to give us 852 on the year. Sorry, 851 on the season. So I'm not going to be able to hit 1,000 laps led today. I guess it wouldn't have been possible even if I led every lap in both races. Assuming the next race is only 100 laps, which I believe is the case. But still, solid day despite starting last. 2.9 second margin of victory there. 1 caution just for 3 caution laps, 6 lead changes. Caution came out at lap 79, I believe. Average race speed of 115.94 miles an hour. 6 lead changes. I think I already mentioned that. Mark Martin ends up second. He led 6 laps today. They're taking the lead from Brian Vickers on that last and only restart. Brian Vickers ended up finishing in 3rd after leading 19 laps as well. Clint Boyer, silent but solid day, finishes in 4th. Irvin, highest running fantasy driver as he rounds out the top 5 and 5th. Tony Stewart finishes 6th. Kenny Wallace 7th. Another fantasy driver, Shields, finishes 8th. Aaron Crocker 9th. Bobby Labonte rounds out the top 10. Only 8 cars finished on the lead lap. Remember, quite a few drivers got trapped a lap down when the caution came out towards the end of green flag pit stop, so that's why there were only 8 cars that finished on the lead lap. Martin Truex Jr., he led the first 21 laps of the day after starting in 3rd, and he finished the lap down. He got trapped. Pole sitter Casey Kane got trapped. He ended up finishing in 12th. And as far as the DNFs go, the only driver that DNF was Sweeney in the 56, which we did see him blow an engine back at lap 47. So the Nazareth 100 coming up next. We'll check out the point standings before that. I'll update it at the top of the screen, and then we'll get that second race underway ASAP. I mean, this is just a video game. I mean, I commentate it like it's real, but I don't take it too seriously. Let's see here. Kyle Busch, 330-point lead over Vickers. Vickers still second. Finished ahead of Boyer today. He's 30 points ahead of him for second place in the standings. Shane Meal is fourth. Kenny Wallace in fifth. Aaron Crocker sixth. Bobby Labonte seventh. And you got Irvin 8th, John Hamilton 9th, Luke Trigger rounds out the top 10. 824 points back, 10th in points. Jeez Louise. It's like, what, 4 or 5 races? Probably 5 races already? Maybe more, 6? I don't know. I don't feel like doing the math right now. It's a lot of races back out of first, I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you what, if we somehow find a way to blow this championship, that's going to be the biggest choke job of the century. I don't care what it is. Racing, video game, YouTube. I don't want that to be the case. We still have some super speedway races left, so I mean we could have a couple bad races if we get into trouble there, but outside of that, Brandon Martinez also welcome into the stream. I mean, I ran that whole race. I might have touched the apron every now and then, like in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Usually when I did it, those were the times I kind of had to lift a little bit extra, either towards the end of the corner or the middle of the corner, because the car kind of pushed up the track. Which was weird because it pushed up the track in the second run, but the first run I felt like if I did touch it a little bit, the car got a bit loose. I didn't make any adjustment changes, so I don't know why that was different. Maybe it's just clean air versus dirty air, too. It's the only thing I could think of. I will get the new World of Outlaws game. It's not really new anymore, I guess, but newer. I do plan on playing it. I just haven't gotten it yet. Regine Huddleston, thanks for tuning in also. I'll update the points now. I've just been talking. I haven't been that productive here. Me up 491. Kenny Wallace having a pretty good year, top 5 in points. I mean, we're still not quite halfway through the season. I mean, Aaron Crocker too, though. Having very good seasons out of the gate. Bobby Labonte minus 617. I did not smell Hamilton correct. Put the O before the T. Oh, dang it. Messed that up, too. Put the wrong point total in for... There we go. The wrong point total in there for a couple of people. I don't know how I did that. Okay. That's a stretch. That doesn't even rhyme. Want to talk about forcing a... I don't even know what you would call that. A fake name? I guess technically it's a fake name.
EA Sports welcomes you to the Nazareth Speedway for the running of today's exciting NASCAR Busch Series event. Conditions will lead us on fast...
Alright, well, I don't know what to expect in this race. We'll hope for the best. I'm going to need downforce, I'll tell you that much. Oh, man. I don't want the car to be too loose. Yeah, we're just guessing here. I don't want it to be too tight either. If it's too tight, I'm not going to be able to make a pass. We'll hope for the best. Probably going to be another one pit stop race today. Race 2, the tougher one tonight. Going to be underway as the green flag is in the air. Shane Meal on the pole today at Nazareth. And Kyle Busch going to be taking it easy for these first handful of laps at the back of the pack. Trying to get a feel for his race car before trying to make any sudden moves and passes for position. Actually, the car feels alright. I'm not pushing 100% though either. Feels like it's got grip. Aaron Crocker to the lead at the front of the field. I think Neal did lead the first lap, but Crocker to the lead in turns 1 and 2. Golly. I'm talking about missing a corner. It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't great either. Jeremy Mayfield now to the front. Oh, one car up into the wall off turn 1. I think it was a 63. This could be sketchy to pass. Patience is key. Yes, it is. 3 wide right in front of us. That's not being patient. Wide. Busch backing out of that too. Some point he's gonna have to commit. It's only gonna allow the cars at the front of the field to really start to pull away. Again, we had a 50% race go caution free at Chicagoland yesterday. And only 1 yellow at Richmond earlier. Will this race maybe be like Vegas where we had 4? Late block on the front straightaway heading towards turn 1 by the car right in front of Busch. Then the 56 of Sweeney blocks him. Sweeney starting at the tail after already blowing an engine that first race earlier. Clipped the grass a little bit. Got a hair loose off turn 3. It's like a 5-turn racetrack. Very unique. If you count this little kink right there as like a 5th turn. kind of on the front stretch. It's like a dog leg on the front stretch. Just before the start-finish line. Kyle finally making his first pass for position, trying to take advantage. Down to the bottom, 3 wide, a little contact with the 113. Got held up a little bit in the middle of the corner with that contact as he couldn't get off of him. Lucky not to crash there. I will say the curbs are a lot flatter at Nazareth. The problem is the grass is on the other side, so it's like if you hit the curb, you almost have to get off of it right away before you clip the grass. My car's been skatey every time I've clipped it. Rush overdrive to the entry to turn 4. Almost gave up the bottom. Oh, one car hard into the outside wall. We've got a couple crashing. Our first yellow of the day on lap 9. That was a hard hit. Head on into the... I mean, that's... No safer barrier on that wall either. That is, ouch. 2 cars get together. I think the one car that was in line right behind Kyle Busch just overdrove the corner. Video's a bit choppy. I noticed OBS was pretty slow. Stay out of the pits here. I'd imagine everybody else is going to stay out. I'll fix it real quick. There's probably going to be a lag in the stream for a couple seconds, so just bear with me. Hopefully that's going to be a little better. You'll have to let me know down in the chat. Golly, it just spun my tires on the restart. Green flag back in the air. Kyle Busch did not take off well. He had to restart right in the middle of the corner and ended up spinning the tires as a result. Mayfield leads. I hope Chicagoland comes back. It won't be in 2023. Well, unless, like, for whatever reason, they can't run the Chicago street race. But I doubt as long as they have that street race, they're probably not going to Chicagoland. Car up in the wall in turn 1. That's where that wreck happened. Yeah, I think OBS was just slow. I might have to restart my laptop for it to completely go away because it's not the internet. It's got good internet connection. Contact. The exit of the corner. Turns 2 and 3. More contact with the 103 car. Couple times there for Kyle Busch. Drives it in deep. More contact with the 106. Now he overdrives turns 3 and 4 up towards that outside groove. Had a good run off though. Looks to the bottom again. And that time he was able to make a clean pass on the 106 who turned 4 and into 5 back to the start-finish line. 106 got up into the outside wall now. Contact with the 121. I won't get a wheel for the PS2. I actually did use a wheel before with the NASCAR Heat Series, and then once it broke, I just never got a new one. I prefer the controller when I'm doing live commentary. If I had a steering wheel, it's a little bit harder for me to kind of multitask and give you guys like the realistic commentary. I do like it when I'm not, like if I were to play on my own, I'd prefer a wheel. It's a lot smoother. We're already 20 laps in. Again, we had that one caution already on lap 9. Took away a few green flag laps away from Busch to try to pass some cars through the field. Everybody stayed out of the pits. 116 with a big block going into 3 and 4. Busch kind of diamonding that corner off a little bit. It helped him get a nice run off the exit. He's done that a couple times. Still a lot of traffic just up in front of him. What, the steering wheel? Any good? For the PS4, I thought it worked out well. I mean, it's from a racing aspect. It's just I was able to do live commentary with it. I got used to it, but it's just easier for me to do it with the controller. That's why I preferred it. I didn't have any issues with the actual... I mean, up until the wheel broke, it kept downshifting. The downshift paddle was broken. So sometimes it wouldn't downshift when I wanted to, and sometimes it would downshift when I didn't even want to downshift. Just be on like a straightaway on an oval and just downshift to third randomly, and then I couldn't get it back to fourth. I'm like, yeah, I'm not using this anymore. Luckily, it did it to me in a practice session, so it wasn't like it happened during a race. I can't quite remember which one I had. I mean, it was just a standard one for the PS4. Quarter of the way home. Busch has made his way to 23rd. Honestly, as far as the handling goes, the car's better what I thought it was going to be. Just saw a trigger end up in the wall in turn 1 as well. Halfway out of fuel at this point in the race. I wonder if it's going to be a potential 2-stop race today. Mayfield has just been passed off of turn 4 now as Clint Boyer leads. First time Boyer has led in either race of the doubleheader today. Contact between the 117 and the 5. Busch almost got ran over from behind. So he was trying to let the 117 car go, and the 138 almost piled into the back of him. Yeah, I feel like Detroit should be able to handle Buffalo pretty well. I would think. Yeah, trivia question will be at about the halfway point in this race. It's going to be a Nazareth track fact. $17 all the way down towards the bottom of the racetrack. Trying to block Kyle Busch on the back straightaway. Busch hasn't really passed anybody in recent laps. Then the last couple. So he's been stuck behind the 117 the entire time. Now he gets underneath him. I moved him up out of the way. Miller and Traeger up towards the outside. Busch into Miller. Yeah, I was at Dover in 2021 last year. Well, not this last season, but the year before that. Yeah, it's a cool facility. Honestly, the race itself was probably one of the more boring races I think I've ever been to, but the actual facility itself, though, pretty good. Xfinity Series has put on some great races there in recent years, and even the Cup race this year wasn't that bad either. It was just the race I went to, just seemed kind of lackluster. It's just Hendrick was so dominant all day long that they weren't really risking battling each other as much. That all four of their cars are so equal that once you got a couple laps after the restart, they just couldn't keep up with one another. There's some near contact between the 112 and the 152 getting into turn 1. Take our first field pass in this race. We'll go to Brian Vickers in the 57 car first. Vickers trying to get underneath of Aaron Crocker for 4th. Vickers just coming off a 4th place finish. Got Bobby Labonte on his back bumper. Vickers looking low. A little bit of a block from Crocker. Good lap for Vickers. He's ran his fastest lap of the race. Ever since Boyer got around Jeremy Mayfield out the front of the field, he is really pulling away. Tony Raines also trying to get by for 2nd. Vickers unable to try to make the pass on Crocker. Oh! A little loose. Vickers trying to seize the opportunity. And all clear. Kind of hit that curb perfectly. Slid me up perfectly right in front of the 6. Busch to 14th. Kenny Wallace might have got nudged by Jourdain going into turn 1. He ended up in the wall. 10 car gave the 22 a big shot. Kenny Wallace could not hang on. And Vickers will be pitting this time. We actually have quite a few cars on pit road right now. So it's looking like it could be a 2-stop race rather than a 1-stop race today, which is interesting. A lot of bottom left open by Kenny Wallace again, and the 5 of Busch is going to get underneath him. No, there's no penalty for getting to the back bumper. Eighth of a tank of fuel left for Kyle Busch. Brian Vickers trying to get up to speed down to the bottom of the racetrack. Busch squeezes under J.J. Yaley in the 18. Yaley really pinching Busch down on the track. Contact with the car that tried to get to the outside of the 5. He ends up in the wall. He made a late dive into the corner as Busch was backing out to let the 18 go. Yaley will pit. Make it much easier for Busch to get around him now. Clint Boyer's also in the pits. So Kyle Busch will lead his first lap of the race at the line. Oh, Vickers overdrives turn 1. He scrapes the wall. Bottom lane open for Kyle Busch. All right. Clears him. Haynes getting up to speed. Kyle just ran his fastest lap of the race that last time by, 27.390. Quick lap. Tracking the 6 down to the bottom of the track. Busch clear. Vickers will not be clear into turn 4. Kyle Busch will pit at lap 45. He'll stay out this time by, then he'll pit at lap 45. He stayed out at least long enough to get 5 bonus points for at least leading a lap. True Assassin, thanks for tuning in. Crocker stays in front of Vickers as well, making the pass on the inside that last lap. Kyle Busch going to have to use that excess road coming into the pits this time. No practice or qualifying, so it'll be first pit road entry. Oh man, almost missed the pits entirely there. I was just following it all the way around the front stretch. No adjustments, 4 tires and fuel for Kyle Busch in the 5. So a 2-stop race today. This is stop number 1 for the 5 team. I'd imagine with around 40 to go, we'll see cars pit again. Very similar to the strategy in the Vegas Chicagoland race yesterday. Boyer easily will be the leader. Kyle Busch going to be in 7th place, cycling out of the pits right behind John Hamilton. Not too shabby, really. About 6.6 seconds behind Boyer, who leads. And everybody from 2nd through 5th all in a tight race with each other yet. Let's see. Kyle Busch to the inside of John Hamilton. Pass made for 6th. Clean pass for Busch in turn 4. I feel, even though Buffalo destroyed Detroit earlier this year, I'm not even sure how, because Buffalo is not that good of a team. They won 8-3 in their first outing against Detroit. I would have to think that Detroit's gonna end up winning tonight. That was on the road too. This is at home. I feel like they're gonna want redemption against them. I just think the Red Wings are the better team. I'll definitely be watching the rest of it as soon as we get done with this race. Joshua Rumsey, thanks for tuning in tonight. Nazareth's kind of your home track, too. Fastest lap for Kyle Busch, 27.356 that last lap. He's got a fast car, and honestly in the clean air right now, it feels really good. Better than it has been up to this point. Still sitting at the one caution back on lap 9. A couple cars at the tail end of the field crashed. I was even behind Busch, who had only passed a couple cars up to that point in the race. Another fast lap, 27.340. Taking advantage on these fresher tires for certain. He was 6.6 seconds off the lead when he first came out of the pits. He's gained one position, and now he's about 5 seconds back. Just in traffic, it's been hard to pass. It's very difficult to maneuver racetrack. Sorry, there's even more of a lag than before. I'd have to completely restart my laptop. I mean, it's up to you guys if you want me to or not, but if I do it, the stream's going to be paused for a few minutes. And I mean, honestly, we're only like 15 minutes away from the end of this race, too, so it's up to you guys whether you want to tough it out or you want me to fix it. But just bearing you that it's going to take about 5 minutes. And we should probably get done with the rest of this race in about another 15. Oh, contact between Mayfield and Busch. Busch runs back into him into turn 4, trying to give himself a little more space. Pass was made. Nazareth looks like a Worldwide Technology Raceway. Like the outside of it, the way like the signs are, I can see why you would say that, and the fact it's flat, but the shape of the track is, it's very different. It really, there's no other track that I can think of that compares to Nazareth by at least shape. But I can see why you say Gateway. Well, contact here. Crocker trying to put the bumper to Brian Vickers. Now pulls low. Crocker to the inside of Brian Vickers. Crocker trying to block Kyle Busch in the 5 as well. And clear. Crocker up to 3rd. She won the 2nd race of the doubleheader at Las Vegas last time. We'll see if she can do it again. Detroit scored on 2 power plays already, first period. I wish I would have put money on them to win tonight. I felt super confident. I just don't like betting for my teams. Busch to 4th as he clears Vickers. Sounds like there's a car coming out of the pits that blew an engine earlier in the race. I didn't hear who it was. Might be a fantasy driver, though. Yeah, I don't think it's an audio lag. I think it's just a video lag. Has nothing to do with the internet either. Crocker making another move now to get to 2nd. She clears Tony Raines. 41 laps to go in this race. Busch looking low underneath Tony Raines. Clean pass by Kyle Busch. Not quite clear yet. Still side by side off of turn 3 into 4. Busch is definitely going to be clear now. Now Busch trying to make his way around Aaron Crocker. These two battled for the win late yesterday at Vegas. Busch looking low, quickly to the inside of Crocker, who swung a little bit wide. Same thing that happened to Tony Raines the last lap through that same set of corners. And Kyle Busch is going to be into second now, 2.8 seconds off the lead, and he's trying to run down Bowyer. Busch has had a fast car, just ran his fastest lap of the race, 27.320 that last lap. We're down to 39 to go, and still one more pit stop left as well. Picker's going to have to be clean. They had a clean, fast first stop. We'll see if they can go 2 for 2. Fortunately, I don't have the Mr. Clean crew unlocked like I do in the Cup Series. We do have cars on pit road right now making their final stop. We had a caution in the middle of green flag stops at Richmond earlier. So it would definitely be risky to short pit at a shorter track like Nazareth, but we'll see. Kyle Busch still looking relatively quick. Still running 27.3s. Couple lap cars right in front of Clint Bowyer. I think one of them is a slow car that already came out of the pits. Bowyer getting held up just a little bit in turns 2 and 3. It's the 110 car. Didn't see who that was. Schultz. Yep, Schultz in the 110. Staying on the outside of the track, but he is definitely down a cylinder. Trying to limp his car home to the finish, gain any positions for anybody else who may DNF from now to the end or had DNF before. But Kyle Busch within a half a second now of Clint Bowyer. Take our second and final field pass of the race today. We'll go to Brian Vickers in the 57, who is still in 5th. We'll see over the next 2 laps if we can get Vickers up potentially to 4th. He's not that far behind Tony Raines. Crocker really pulling away from the 33, but isn't quite able to reel in the 2 and the 5 ahead of her. Might do away with the night race at Bristol. I have not heard anything about that. Oh, contact Tony Raines and just blocked Brian Vickers up into the wall. Heavy contact for both cars in turn 4 rather. I felt like the Raines had blocked Vickers, causing that caution. Should be within the fuel window to make it to the end. There were some cars that already pitted, so I don't think there's going to be any issues here. The caution is going to be out. And this is going to be costly for Brian Vickers, because he cannot pit for fuel or tires being involved in the accident, which is highly unfortunate. He was on the outside of Tony Raines going into turn 4, just barely. So Raines going to be in first. I should say Vickers is going to be in first. He'll get 5 bonus points, not the way he wanted to do it, though. Looks like Bobby Labonte's going to be the leader. Oh, never mind. I'm confused at why the running order is the way it is. Some cars definitely stayed out, but I think they were lappers. Either way, they're all going to restart in front of Vickers, who is on older tires right now, but he's got a lot of lap cars in front of him. J.J. Yaley trying to challenge for the race lead. The 110 starting to slow up a couple cars a little bit further back in the pack. And we are down to just 28 laps to go at the line. Vickers still going to have to pit before the end of the race. Definitely not going to be able to make it on fuel. We'll swap to Kyle Busch for the rest of the race when we get back to the line this time by. But how about J.J. Yaley in the 18 all of a sudden trying to look for the race lead? A little contact there between Vickers and the 112. And we will go to Kyle Busch. Well, Kenny Wallace overdriving turn number 2 on the entry. Jourdain underneath him. Jourdain's on the lead lap. He has made a good comeback here late. Kyle Busch in 5th right now. 1.4 seconds back of Brian Vickers, who leads, but we know Vickers has to pit. So we're not really racing the 57 as we have just 26 to go. Allison, also welcome into the stream. I saw you earlier. I didn't shout you out. Usually try to shout you guys out. I'm trying to... I don't know why they all restarted at the front like that. All the lap cars. I've never seen it like that before. Not on the top and bottom, at least. Usually they're obviously just on the bottom. A little contact between the 149 car and Kyle Busch in the middle of the corner. And I think the 149 is a rival, Kyle Busch. It scares me a little bit, I'm not going to lie. I'm not sure why he's a rival. I remember Busch making contact with him. And they will catch that 110 car before the end of this race. It's worth noting because I see him very slow on the track map. Probably going to catch him at least once, maybe twice. Busch a little wide in turn 4. All the cars he's passed since the restart have been lap cars. He has not passed any lead lap cars. 116 into the wall now. That caution is not something Kyle Busch wanted to see. Or Clint Boyer. Boyer's nowhere to be found right now. Well, I think he's like 4 cars behind Busch. Not all for position. But Kyle Busch and Clint Boyer did not cycle well on this restart. Pass on McMurray, who's a lap down. 124 car up on the outside of the racetrack. It was also a lap down for Busch to pass. Vickers still on the track, still in the lead, logging in some laps led late in the race. J.J. Yaley in 2nd right now would eventually be the leader when Vickers pits. 21 to go. They'll catch the 110 car. Looks like Bobby Labonte got up into the wall. He was one of the lap cars that restarted ahead of the leaders. That's going to allow Vickers to get to the bottom, and Vickers will have the clean air off 3. This 149 is blocking Kyle Busch quite a bit there. It's not going to be an easy pass for Busch to get around him unless he uses the 110 as a pick potentially. And this may be a mess for this entire pack trying to get around that slow car that they're catching up in the middle of turns 2 and 3. Vickers to the bottom pretty easily. Kyle Busch to the bottom as well. So some of them were able to get by the lapper pretty easily. Kyle is going to gain 1 position. I don't know who it was for position he passed, but he is up 1 spot, and all the lap cars are now in the rearview mirror. 2 fantasy drivers and 2 Hendrick Chevys in the top 4 battling for the win. Vickers, though, likely not going to make it on field at the end of the race. And if he does, it'd be a miracle at this point if he can make it on 1 stop and everybody else on 2. A lot fresher tires for the cars behind Vickers, but Vickers has had that clean air advantage since the restart. He's been able to hold on to the lead the entire time. Kyle Busch all over the back of Trigger in the 133. Looks low off turn 3. Trying to get to the inside into turn 4. Can't quite get in there. John Hamilton pressuring Brian Vickers. Pressured him too much. He goes wide off the exit of the corner. Now he's going low into turn 1 again. Trigger drives it in deep. Almost gets underneath the 120 of Hamilton. Busch into 3. Underneath Trigger. Hamilton goes wide also, and Busch might get a 2-for-1 special through turns 2 and 3. He's clear of Trigger. He's underneath Hamilton into turn 4. Kyle Busch to 2nd. Trigger follows the 5 to get to 3rd. And with 16 to go, Vickers leads on his teammate Kyle Busch. Vickers going a bit wide in 2 and 3. Kyle down to the inside. Brian Vickers trying to hold on strong on that outside lane right now. He's doing a good job, especially on older tires. Trigger all over the back of Kyle Busch as well. Oh, contact between the teammates. And Trigger's going to get to the bottom as Busch clears the 57. Luke Trigger to the lead. Didn't see that coming. 14 to go. Vickers losing track position on those older tires now that he finally lost the lead and lost that clean air. Busch trying to force Trigger into a mistake. Luke Trigger trying to get his first career win in the NASCAR Busch Series. Kyle down low. He's underneath him. Side by side into turn 1. There's contact! And Busch is going to be out in front into turn 2. And a crossover. Closing in on the 110 car again. Of Schultz. Vickers at the inside of John Hamilton. Vickers back to 3rd. Again, it'd be a miracle if he can make it on field at the end. He's really pushing it, though. He's going down to 11 laps left. See if Busch can use the lap car as a pick. Oh, my gosh. Well, that worked. Oh, the 110 is definitely in Kyle Busch's way. Busch to the outside. Got around him the hard way. 10 to go at the line, this time by. Kyle Busch leads. Trying to drive away from Luke Trigger. Vickers back to 4th as Hamilton's in 3rd again. Busch overdrove the corner big time, and the curb launched him up the racetrack. Kyle's just got to let the car come to him. Trying to force Trigger into a mistake on his own. Might actually catch the 110 a 3rd time before the end of this race. Busch cuts to the bottom. Trigger really trying to squeeze Kyle Busch heading into turn 1. Oh my gosh. More contact. Oh, we got trouble. Caution's out. There's a car around somewhere. Brian Vickers has just crashed hard into the guardrail on the inside in turns 2 and 3. Bringing out a yellow with less than 10 to go. Our second caution of the race. Tough break for Brian Vickers. And this is going to set up a late restart here at Nazareth. Yeah, I've made a couple mistakes here late. 3 to go. This is going to be it. Final restart. Green-white checker. And they will not catch the 110 now. Busch just gave up the inside in turns 2 and 3. Contact from underneath. Luke Trigger back out in front. Busch going to try to cross him over. Off the exit of turn 4 into 5. 2 to go at the line. Kyle Busch is down low. Through turn 1, good corner, kept it off of Trigger that time. No mistake from Busch, and he's back to the lead again. Slides clear in the middle of the corner. John Hamilton to the inside for second. His Trigger just went really wide. Pretty much all the way from turn 4 through 3, and now not only lost the lead, but Hamilton gets by him for second. White flag in the air, 1 to go for Kyle Busch. Looking for the sweep. He ran a clean race as far as no mistakes in both races today. None major enough to cause the wreck or cause him to not win the race. From the tail to the win in both races tonight, Kyle Busch is a winner at Nazareth. His 6th win of the season, back-to-back, and he's won 3 of the last 4. What a hot streak to start this season for Kyle Busch. 6 wins in 15 races. And he still only finished outside the top 10 once. And outside the top 5 3 times this season. And as long as he led 49 laps in this race, which I don't think he did, extra burnout. Setting the track on fire at the hot start. No kidding. Couple fantasy drivers, though, really pushed late. Tough break when that Vickers and Rains caution came out. And Clint Boyer ended up falling back to 5th. He led a lot of laps in today's race. He looked to be the fastest car until Busch was kind of running him down on that long green flag run between the first and would have been the first and second yellow. So we ended up having 3 cautions with that Vickers accident with a little less than 10 to go. 3 cautions for 9 caution laps today, 15 lead changes in race 2, 53 minutes, 31 seconds total time on the second race. Margin of victory 0.3 of a second with that green-white checker finish. Average race speed of 112.09 miles per hour, and Kyle Busch gets the win, leading just 13 laps in the second race. Race 1, he led the most with 79 of 125 laps led, but in this race, only led 13. John Hamilton didn't lead a lap, finished second there. Great run late. Luke Trigger led 7 laps late in the race, finished third. Kenny Wallace led just 1 lap, finishing 4th. Clint Boyer led the most laps with 38 out of 100 led. Let's see here. Jeremy Mayfield ends up finishing at 6th. J.J. Yaley in 7th. Michael Jordan Jr. in 8th. Aaron Crocker 9th. And Irvin rounds out the top 10. Ryan Vickers finished 28th. He didn't finish the race. I was wondering if he DNF'd after he crashed. He did not. Actually passed about 4 cars on those fresher tires he probably put on that last restart. 32 cars finished on the lead lap. And Schultz blew an engine, came back out on the track, finished the race. So actually all 43 cars did finish this race. Siegel finished 2 down. But Schultz finished a bunch of laps down, but he did finish. It's kind of pointless for him to come back out considering nobody else ended up DNFing, but I guess he wouldn't have known that when he first got out here. I mean, I made accidental contact a couple times there with Trigger late. That last pass I made on him, luckily it was clean after the restart on the green-white checker. I didn't feel too good accidentally getting into him there a couple times when I passed him, but at least, I mean, he got around me fair and square in the restart there and crossed him right back over, so kind of glad it ended the way it did. Well, next race is at Daytona. This is going to be interesting. I don't have a good track record at Daytona on the EA Sports games. For those of you that don't know, we'll see what I can do with Kyle Busch. That might end our hot streak to start the season. If Nazareth went a lot smoother than what I thought it was going to. I had a pretty good car from the start. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do that or not. But 100 laps, we'll go back to the 100% races for the rest of the season. So 100 laps at Daytona. That will be on Friday night. Tune in tomorrow night on the channel. We'll be doing a Throwback Thursday live stream as we will be rewatching a classic Daytona 500. I haven't really checked the voting polls on the community tab, so I'm not even sure what race is leading the polls, so I'm going to check that right now and let you guys know exactly what race we'll be watching tomorrow night. I'm going to pull it up on my phone. We'll check out the point standings here where I end the stream also. Got 113 votes, 49% of which went to the 2008 Daytona 500. So tomorrow we will be watching the 2008 Daytona 500. 1999 finishing second with 32% of the votes and 19% of the votes for 2002. So the 2008 500 will win by 17% on our voting polls. So thanks everybody for voting this week. You can do so in the community tab every Monday, either late Sunday night or sometime Monday. I'll upload the community tab stream. So we'll be watching the 2008 Daytona 500 tomorrow on the channel, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Start Time. I'll see you guys then for that, and then we'll be back for NASCAR 6 Busch Series Racing Friday night at Daytona. Just one race in that stream as we go back to the 100% races for the rest of the season. Thanks everybody for watching. See you guys tomorrow night. Have a good rest of your Wednesday night.